I'm Nathan Judah. I'm here with Wolves reporter for the first time, Mr. Liam Keane. Liam, Crewe won, Wolves nil, but that's not the most important part of today. It was getting to know the team, getting to know the manager. What did you make of it?
I thought it was quite a good start. I thought 15, 20 minutes or so, very aggressive, very high press. You can see, I mean, it was almost like a front four really. Aït-Nouri and Trincao pushing forward, pushing wide. But after that, they failed to get on the ball, failed to distribute it, very sloppy in some of the passes. And that's really where they let Crewe grow into the game and dominate really the second half of that first half. And then, you know, it felt like a goal was coming. Eventually the changes were made. The youngsters didn't really settle in for the first 15, 20 minutes of the second half. And the goal came, but I mean, you'll talk about the goal, it was very easy, wasn't it? Yeah, it was, yeah. Look, I mean, the first half is what I'm more interested in. I think most of the fans will be more interested in. The best part of today, of course, was seeing Mr. Jimenez back on the pitch. It certainly was.
And look, he played half an hour, obviously came off for Crewe, which I'm sure was sorted out beforehand, and I thought he showed some nice touches, some nice glances. It's going to take him time, of course it is, isn't it? But just to get him back on the pitch, and most importantly, if he's ready to go 100% for the start against Leicester away from home, that's when you want him. It's going to be a slow build-up, isn't it? He looked sharp.
Yeah. I thought, I really do. I mean, considering he's had 8 months off and away from the game, I thought he looked very sharp. He wasn't scared. He won a couple of headers. Was playing, indicating nicely with Fabio and playing a few balls in behind. But it was probably right to take him off, wasn't it? You know, he's not played in, 230 days, I think it is. He needs to come off and build that fitness up. I was surprised to see him start, actually. I thought we might see him come on off the bench. But it was good, and that's the main positive from today, having him back, because he's the main man, isn't he? A few other bits here and there. I thought, Trincao had a few decent touches, a little bit careless with some of his passes. Aït-Nouri, first 15, 20 minutes was quite sharp, sort of dwindled out of the game a little bit. But again, I'll come back to Jimenez. He is the gel for this team, isn't he? He's the gel. He links the midfield, links to the attack, comes deep, goes in behind whenever needed. He's always a threat wherever he is on the pitch. And I thought he had a very good half an hour, whether he did. Yeah, someone who impressed me, I thought, was Taylor Perry. I thought he did really, really well. I thought he was industrious in centre midfield, but I thought he made some really good runs. High pressing, which I think is going to be largest kind of caveat. Well, that's exactly what he wants to do on this team. And I thought, some of these players, they've got fresh slates here now, so they want to impress. And if they do well, they could find themselves in the first team squad at least for the start of this season. Talking about Perry, I quite liked the 4-4-2. I don't know what you thought. I quite liked it. I thought the high press.
Who would have thought it?
4-4. I won't say it. Look, Taylor, I thought he did. Industrious is the right word. He looked after the ball very well. Distributed it very well. Was very, very confident in possession as well, which was nice to see. And that's the work of the academy. It's a top tier academy. That's the kind of players they bring through. Very, very good. Spoke very well actually to me afterwards as well. So be nice to see him get a few minutes perhaps in some trophy games this season as well. But I thought it was interesting. I said at the beginning of the game in the video we did for social media that playing Morgan Gibbs-White and Perry are two. Inexperienced. I know Morgan's had a few games, but inexperienced really. Lightweight perhaps. Very attacking as well, because Taylor's played much more attacking in for the academy than he has done today. But he sat very, very nicely in that too. I thought Taylor did. As I said, looked after the ball well, distributed it well, and was an anchor for the team. A kind of a Neves role really for the team, which is the best compliment I can give him really. Yeah, look, he says he wants to be here. I mean, the talks of maybe going away on loan, as there will be Morgan Gibbs-White. But these guys are here to fight for a place, and you don't know what's going to happen in the next 2 to 3 months on transfers, etc. So yeah, I thought they did pretty well. Second half, of course, loads of changes. 23s came on, plus Patrick Crewe. Well, I know he came on in the first half, but Patrick Crewe, had a couple of decent chances. Should have maybe scored today. Where's his future? Is his future at Wolves? Do you think he's still got a chance if he impresses at Stoke or Coventry, or is it someone who maybe as that third striker to support Fabio Silva and Raul Jimenez could still have a future? You look at the squad, and for me, there should be a future there because they need another striker, particularly if they're going to play 4-4-2, by the way. They're going to need a third striker and probably a fourth on top of that. I mean, depends on how some of the young lads come through. But he cuts a forlorn figure for me, Patrick. He gets a little bit fed up. I mean, you can see some of his comments in the Italian press. doesn't seem like he wants to be here. But he tried today. He made a few runs in behind. For me, I thought him and Dadashov were coming far too deep at times as well, and there wasn't much penetration in behind, and that was why they were struggling to find them. But you look at it on paper, and he's a player with pedigree, AC Milan, Italian under-21s. This squad needs him. They need a player like that who's going to back up potentially the first two in Fabio and Raul. But is he happy to play second fiddle? It seems, as we've seen in the last 18 months or so, that he's not.
Well, I tell you what, I'd be happy to do. Go to Marbs. No calves for Marbs, mate. That's where they go now. They go for a couple of games away, a bit of sunshine, bit of training. And
sunshine, we've got sunshine.
I know, it's probably going to be colder over there. But look, it's going to be good for Bruno to integrate this team, to kind of keep on going with what they've been working on at Compton. And 2 games out there, come back, then Stoke, then Coventry, then they've got 1 game at Molineux before the start of the season. There's a lot of changes in there, you feel. I mean, watching this team today, I feel that, it's nowhere near the side that we'll see against Leicester, but at the same time, you want to see some incomings, I think. And I know some of the players are going to come back, and when you've got Cody, when you've got Traore and these type of players are going to come back, Neto in October, it looks more like a first 11 side. But at the same time, there are going to be some more outgoings, and there's going to be some incomings. And I think these next couple of weeks are going to be pretty crucial.
Definitely. I think in some ways you can look at today's performance and result as quite predictable, really. Not only have they got a lot of important players having extra rest because of the Euros, it's also the dynamic within the group. These are big players, big personalities. Cody being the biggest personality of them all, probably. It's about the dynamic of the group, and that I think is important. They need to meet Bruno. They need to integrate with the squad. I know they'll obviously know the squad, but in terms of his philosophy, and that Marbella trip's going to be a big fan. And don't forget, they fly out on the Tuesday. They've got all week until the Saturday game against Real Betis. That week is going to be a really important week. Gets all his players in, aside from Cody and Nadama. Gets all his players in. Gets them integrated into the philosophy, the style, and particularly for midfielders, don't forget, we've got Moutinho, Neves and Dendoncker coming back. And the midfield in this 4-4-2, for me, is probably the most important position, because you can see how important Perry was to that team today, and he won't be that player, obviously, in the Premier League. They're going to need someone to be that marshal, that anchor. Neves, you'd imagine, as long as he stays with the club, will be that man. So it's a big week, and then they've got a couple of good games coming up. There's going to be some changes between now and Leicester. They need silence, don't they? They need, for me, 1 or 2 strikers, depends on where Trincao goes. Maybe another winger. Obviously, I know you've got Pedence and Nadama coming back, but Aït-Nouri's not a winger, so they need potentially another winger. You'd argue another centre half, possibly, depending on if he's playing a 4 or a 5. There's work to be done. But I think you can build off this for certain.
We can cross that bridge. We'll come to it on another day, because I can smell barbecues. I think it's time to go. This could be the longest post-match pre-season video ever. So
I like to rattle on.
You do, mate. Crewe 1, Wolves 0 for the post-match reaction. Make sure you log on to expressandStar.com.